Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning Biology. So this is the video on chapter 12.3 part 1. Okay? So after you get ready, let's recall what we have learned last lesson. So in chapter 12.2, we learned something about the asexual reproduction of flowering plants. Alright? So the asexual reproduction includes two types mainly. So when we talk about the bacteria, it is binary fission, and when we talk about the vegetables or the flowering plants, it's the vegetative propagation. Alright? And when we talk about the vegetative propagation, there are several types which we need to remember, like the potato, like the onion, water chestnut, and ginger. Alright? So if there is no question, for chapter 12.3, it is more fun, yet a little bit more difficult at the same time. Okay? 會開心少少啦, but also more difficult. When we talk about the sexual reproduction, alright? So in this section, we're going to first learn about the structure of the flower. Okay? Before we learn about the sexual reproduction, we need to learn their structure, just like human. Alright? So let's move on and see. Okay, so just remember, when we talk about flowering plants, they can carry out sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction at the same time. And when we talk about sexual reproduction, usually it involves, 佢包含咗啲乜嘢啊? It involves the flowers and seeds. Alright? 好啦, okay, so when we talk about the structure of a flower, so first of all, this page is the third dictation. Alright, we are going to have third dictation, and this dictation, of course, very obviously, 好明顯地啦, you are going to dictate on the structural names. Okay, 你要去學識嗰啲嘅 names of the structures 啊. Structural names. Sorry, structural names. Alright, 好啦, so in general, 我哋講正常嘅情況啦. In general, so the flowers can be made up of 4 parts. 主要係有4個 parts 啦. Okay, so from outside to inside, 咁得由外邊到入邊啦. So the outermost, we don't look at this paragraph first. Look at this diagram. 睇住個 diagram 啦. Okay, so from outside, 我哋會有一個花萼啊，花萼. Okay, so this one we call them the sepal. Sepal. Okay, so this is the outermost. Usually, when you look at the flower, it is usually what in color? 通常咩顏色㗎? As you can see here as well, it is green in color 嘅. 自己可以寫低啦. You can put it down if you want. Alright? And then, what's so special about the flower all the time? 成日都會覺得好特別嘅 because they have colors, right? They have bright, they have beautiful colors. And the colors, they come from petal. 咁得自己攞到啦 petal. Petal 就係花瓣啦. Alright? And then inside, you will see the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. 好啦, for male reproductive system, it's this one. Male 嘅話，我哋會叫做 stamen. 攞到啦 stamen. And then for female reproductive system, we called it the carpel. Carpel. Alright, so first of all, we learned these 4 words. 自己讀多一次咯 sepal, petal, stamen, carpel. Okay, so the next one is that we need to learn the collective noun. 咩叫 collective 啊? 我哋會講佢哋係 collective noun 啊. So that means, by collective, that means when they are, when there are numerous of them. Okay? So, for example, when there is one petal, okay, so it is called petal. Very easy. However, when I want to say that they are in a circle, 佢哋成個圓形咁樣嘅形狀啦, or they are arranged like several petals. Okay, 佢幾塊花瓣擺埋一齊啦. Several petals are put together. Alright? 我哋就會叫做乜嘢啊? We call it the corolla. 自己攞到啦 corolla. And then, same for sepal. Okay, I'll write it down later. So for sepal, we call it the calyx. Calyx. 攞到啦. Okay, so for petal, when it is in collective noun, 我哋就會叫 corolla. Okay, and then for if there is only one sepal, we call it sepal. But for the collective noun, we call it the calyx. Okay, 好啦, at this point, 6 words already. 有少少難度啦，係咪啊? 6 words already. but then somehow we can remember them quite easily. 比較容易少少嘅。Okay, so try to remember both the collective noun and the single noun. 得唔得？好啦 so I will usually remember this way. CCSC. Okay, so what does it mean? If you are smart enough, you may be able to guess. 咁當然啦 the first C is the calyx, and then the next C is corolla, and then the next S is stamen, and the last C 最後一個 C 係咩啊 is carpel. Alright? Okay, so that's all for now. Okay, so after we talk about the outer layers of the flower, or outer structure of the flower, 講完外邊嘅部分啦 we're going to talk about the male and female reproductive system. Okay? 好啦 so when we talk about the male stamen, it's made of two parts. 有兩部分組成嘅 two parts. One of them is the anther. The other one is the filament. Okay? 讀一讀啦 anther, filament. Okay, so anther 比較簡單啦 so as you can guess, what is here? So what can you find here? Well, you can find the pollen grains here. Okay? 自己可以寫先啊 So what the place where I highlight the anther, you can find pollen grains. And then what about the filament? Filament 有啲咩用㗎 It's only for Okay, if I ask you for a function, what do you think the filament is for? 個 filament 有啲咩用呢 Of course, it is not for attracting the insects. 佢唔會吸引到嗰個 insect 啦，唔會吸引到昆蟲啦。So its function is to support. Support what? Support the anther. Okay? No worries, we are going to learn about the functions later. 等得純粹暫時 At present, just have some thoughts about what their functions are. 得唔得 Okay, so this is the statement. So only two parts. The upper part, of course, more important, 比較重要嘅，咁就會係個 anther 啦。And as you can find, some pollen grains there. And then the filament just to support the anther. 得唔得？好啦 and then when we talk about the carpel, the female reproductive system, okay, and then we'll see three words. The uppermost 最頂嘅位啦，要 see stigma， 讀一讀啦 stigma. And then in between 喺中間呢度啦 there is a stalk， 好似有支棍咁樣嘅 we call it a style. And the last one, this one is a more familiar word， 最後一個啦 the bottom of this carpel 有三個位置啦 the bottom of this carpel 我哋會叫做 ovary. Okay, so ovary, this word is the most familiar, should be the most familiar to you. 應該最為人熟悉嘅 because you have learned this word in science when we talk about female as in human. Okay, ovary 咩嚟㗎 ovary 係卵巢啦 alright, so ovary is the organ of female that produce eggs or ova. 得唔得卵巢啦 Okay, so just jot down a bit notes. So when we talk about carpel, there are three parts. And again, it's not that difficult to remember if you try to use your own method to remember them. So for me, again, I will remember it like this, SOS. So of course you know what is the meaning of SOS. 你一定知道 SOS 咩意思啦 So this SOS, as you can guess, 最頂嗰度啦 the uppermost, it will be the stigma. And then, in between, okay, I skipped the second S, I skipped to the O first. The last one is ovary, right? And then in between them is the style. Okay, so this is my SOS. Okay, so just read through these 5 words with me, okay, very quickly. 第一個 stigma, style, ovary. So these 3 belongs to carpel. And then we have anther, filament. This 2 belongs to stamen. Alright? Hold on. So these 4 parts are the main structure of the flower. At this point, I want you to look at the diagram on the right. So it's very easy to see. The outermost layer, okay, made up of what? Made up of sepal, yeah. Okay? And this layer, we call it the calyx. Okay, the second outermost, 第二層最外嘅啦 is made up of petal. So we call this layer the corolla. Okay? And then we'll talk about stamen and carpel in the center. And you may wonder, 你可能諗一諗啦 you may wonder, is there only one carpel and a lot of stamen all the time? 係咪經常性都會有，淨係得一個 carpel, only one carpel, but many stamen all the time? 係咪所有時間都係咁樣嘅咧？ The answer is no. Okay, it depends on different types of flowers. 唔同嘅 flower, different flowers will have different numbers of petals, number of everything. Okay, 佢哋嘅 stamen 啊、carpel 啊，甚至 sepal 嘅 number, they may also be different. 得唔得 for different flowers? Okay, so last two structure we need to remember. One of them is called receptacle. 嗰度啦 receptacle. Receptacle 係咩嚟嘅咧？就係佢腫脹嘅位置。You can see this area, it is swollen. 我叫花托啦。So it's usually a little bit swollen. Okay? And then the last one 就係 detail 啦。As I said, stalk earlier, right? When we talk about the style, it looks like a stalk. 咁 stalk 就係嗰個枝條啦。We call this the flower stalk. Okay? 好啦 so that's all for this flower. The question is, okay, so what we are showing here is another type of flower. 係另外一種嘅 flower 嚟嘅。So usually, you will learn about this in chapter 27, I think. 27 or 28. Yeah, okay? So usually this flower is a dicot. 自己可以寫低啊。This flower is a dicot. How do I know? So the reason is you can find 5 times the petal. That means the number of petals is 5 times. 係5倍嘅 okay? So it will be 5, 10, 15, 20, so on. Alright? And below, when we look at this flower, it's called lily, 百合啦. It is a monocot. When we talk about lily, it is a monocot. How do I know again? So now, can you tell me, how many petals are here? How many petals are here? The answer is, like, okay, start from here, okay? So 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, right? So usually for monocots, we will have 3 times number of petals. So this is one of the ways, 其中一種方法啦 to define, to think if it is a dicot or a monocot. Alright? So in this diagram, you can see 6 petals in total. 你會揾6個 petal 嘅 Alright? But this is not the main point of this section. So just go through them. Okay? So just think, this is a very clear example of how you find out the structures. 你點樣知道 different structures 嘅 label 咧 Alright? So first of all, start from the bottom. This one, a little bit swollen, not very obvious, 唔係好明顯㗎啦 Okay? We call it the receptacle. 嗰度啦 receptacle. 好 and then the next one, we look at the outermost first, outermost layer. And it's quite difficult to see the sepal. Let's see. Okay, so the reason why you cannot see the sepal is because, okay, 咁樣睇睇啊。Because 你可以望得小心啲嘅 okay? Try to look very carefully. When you look at this diagram, you can actually see the sepal, right? It's that this is the sepal. Alright? So somehow, the sepal and the petal are of the same color. Okay? 或者 they have a very similar color. Okay? 佢有個好相似嘅顏色. Therefore, you cannot really see the difference. Okay? You can only point out, okay, so this is the petal, and this is the sepal. Okay? But when it opens, 當個花開咗嗰陣時啦, when the flower opens, you can see the petal will have more colors, like as you can see here. It will have some dots, or unless it's totally pure white. 除非佢係純白色㗎啦. Otherwise, you can still tell which part is the sepal and which part is the petal. Okay? So the outermost 2 parts, sepal and petal 講完啦. And then you will see this orange structure, 橙色嘅部分啦. This one is the male reproductive system, and it's composed of 2 parts, right? 兩部分啦. So one of them is the anther, and the other one is the filament. Okay? They are always connected. 一定係一齊嘅. Okay? So if you see the anther here, this one will be the filament. And the remaining part is this one. This one is the female reproductive system. And how many parts? 幾多部分啊? three parts. Alright, the uppermost 最頂嗰度啦，會有 stigma, and then we have style, and then we have ovary. Okay, very close to the bottom of the flower. 最低部嘅位置啦。Okay, so this is how you find out the structure of the flower. And when you look at the transverse section, 即係打橫去睇啦，指到嗰度啦 ，transverse section. Okay, 打橫斬開嘅。When you cut it horizontally, 咁你會 you can see that 啦。The stamen is surrounding 佢包圍住緊啦。可以寫一寫啊。The stamen 唔使啦。The stamen is surrounding the carpel， 得唔得 ？Male reproductive system， reproductive organs 啦，係會 surrounding 一個嘅 carpel， 一個 female reproductive system 啦。Alright. Okay, so that's all. So two more things. Remember the transverse section and the longitudinal section. Okay, so if there is no question, let's move on. So the next section, we're going to talk about introduce different structures one by one. 得唔得？逐個去講一講啦。First one, 指讀一次啦 ，calyx and corolla. So when we talk about calyx, it's made up of sepal. Very good, sepal. Corolla is made up of petal. Okay, 冇搞亂啊。So first of all, calyx 啱啱講咗啦 ，made up of sepals. So it's the outermost part, 最外邊嗰層嚟嘅。So again, what is the function? 就係去 protect the inner parts 咯，去 protect the inner parts of the flower. 當咩時候啊 ？What time? When it is in a bud stage. 當佢係一個花蕾嗰陣時啊。So not yet open. The flower is still not opened. And you can see the outermost layer is green in color, right? 綠色㗎啦。Therefore, this area, this thing, is actually the calyx, or you can say the sepal, protecting the bud. 去保護緊個 bud 啦 ，flower bud. Alright? Protecting the inner parts of the flower bud. Okay, so that's the sepal, the calyx. Hold on, the next one, we're going to talk about corolla. Okay, corolla, very happy when we talk about this because it's very beautiful, right? 咁好靚㗎啦 It's made up of petal. Okay, 佢係 second outermost 嘅 layer 啦，佢 just inside the calyx 嘅啫。Usually 啦 of course petals 係點㗎？You need to remember these， 你要去寫低嘅，等得重點嚟嘅。So it's usually brightly coloured， 係好 beautiful 㗎啦 ，alright? So you can see that it can be purple, it can be brightly yellow, red in colour 咁樣啦。除咗 brightly coloured 啦 and scented, alright? So why are they so brightly coloured and scented? 原因就係 they have to attract insects for pollination 去傳播花粉啦。Okay, so pollination is attracting insects to help them to spread the pollens. 可以寫寫啊，傳播花粉 spread the pollen grains. Or you can just say pollens. Okay, so this is the meaning of pollination. Okay, we'll talk about pollination later. 好啦，remember, okay, so not all flowers have brightly colored and scented. Okay, not all flowers are, 唔係全部都係嘅。Because they have different types of pollination， 有唔同嘅方法啦，去 carry out pollination 嘅。Okay, so let's move on. 好啦，繼續啦。And then this is also important. Some petals 會有一啲嘅記印喺度啊。They have some marks. So where are the marks? This one are the marks, and this one are the marks. Okay, so what are these marks? 呢啲 marks 係咩嚟㗎？ They are called the nectar guides. 指到度啊 nectar guides. 好啦 nectar guides 係咩嚟嘅咧 ？They will lead insect towards the nectaries. 佢會帶領佢啦 ，lead insect towards 呢一個嘅 nectaries， 帶領佢去到呢個嘅 nectaries 嗰度啦。So what are nectaries? Earlier, I've always taught you this word. 不斷教緊你呢一隻字啦，讀一讀咯 glands. Glands 嘅意思 that means 腺體，月字邊嗰個腺。Okay, so this one 腺體。Sorry, wait a second. Oh yeah, right. Okay, so 腺體 is glands. Alright, so glands is like it secretes something, right? It secretes something, it produces something inside your body. We'll talk about this later when we talk about chapter 13, alright? So nectaries, they are a gland, a type of gland 啦，咁就 produce 啲乜嘢啊？當然啦，佢哋就會 produce nectar 花蜜嘅，OK to attract the insects for the insect to feed on，得唔得？That's all. Okay, that's mainly all about this part. So some features, they are colored, they are scented, 有香嘅氣味啦。It may be good to smell for us as well, but some of them may be bad for us to smell. Okay, so we'll talk about that later as well. 咁有啦 some of them have the nectar guards. Okay, if they produce nectars. 如果佢哋製造 nectar 嘅話啦 they will usually have the nectar guard. Okay. 好啦 but then we look at this one. It says that the nectar guards may or may not be visible to humans. Okay, 可能 not visible to humans 嘅。Okay, for example, as you can see, this is primrose flower 啦，係一種報春花。Okay, primrose flowers. So they are invisible to human. As you can see, this is what we see. But then, what an insect see is their ultraviolet light. 佢會睇到用另外一種嘅視線去望啲 flower 嘅。They will use another way to look at the flower, and they will sense it. Okay, they can tell the difference. They can actually look at this. They will see something like this. Okay, when they look at this flower， 得唔得？當佢用一個佢嘅目光啦去睇住朵花嗰陣時咧 it will become something like this. Okay, therefore you clearly see the nectar guards. So just for your interest, if you want to know, oh yeah, it wrote here, right? Here's a pansy lah. Okay, so this is sometimes cultivated， 咁就會係種咗嚟啦。Is for us to decorate， 佢會俾我哋裝飾啦 ，or for us to eat 去食嘅。Alright， 好啦 ，and then the next one, this is the key part， 最比較重要嗰一部分啦。So we're going to talk about the female and male reproductive system, reproductive parts， 得唔得 ？So carpel is the female and stamen is the male. Alright, so we talk about the carpel first. Pay attention， 得唔得？呢個部分緊要嘅。So we talk about carpels is the female reproductive parts. 好啦 usually as I said, flower 啦 may have one or more 嘅呢個 carpel。OK， usually 佢哋會係 in the center 嘅 ，usually 只有同你講啫，得唔得？好啦，再俾多個 information 你 ，OK， one more information. Some flowers may not have carpel or stamen. Okay, because some flowers, the reason, I mean, what is the reason? Because some flowers, why? Why do you think so? We'll talk about this later, of course. Because some flowers are just like human. They are not bisexual. They are unisexual. 佢哋單性別嘅 ，alright? So they either 佢哋一係就有啊 ，either has carpel or stamen. 一係就有 stamen， 一係就有 carpel 啦 ，alright? So this is just for you to know, okay? So it's not must be one or more 嘅 ，okay? 好啦 ，so when we talk about carpel, three things, SOS, remember? So stigma, ovary, and style， 得唔得 ？Okay, so stigma uppermost 最頂嗰度啦，係有啲咩用啊 ？Receive pollen grains 去等人哋個花粉嘅 ，receive pollen grains。Style 啦 ，very similar to filament 啦，同 filament 一模一樣嘅，同個 stamen 入邊個碌棍係一模一樣噶啦。It support the stigma。OK。Ovary 啦，當然啦就會有 one or more ovules， 一模一樣嘅 ovary 都係 produce 呢啲嘅 ovules 啦。Ovule 就好似我哋嘅 eggs 咁樣啦，得唔得 ？OK，we'll talk about that later。好啦，咁然後咯 ，so these are structure you can look at it yourself. Let's see. Yes, so okay, so just let you see, you can see that it's very typical. 係好明顯嘅 you can see that this female part is totally different from the male part, alright? So you can tell the difference, this is the female, okay? This whole stalk 成條線啦，都係一個 female 啦。But then this here, you cannot really see the male part here in this diagram, but here they are all carpels. 佢全部都係 carpel 嚟嘅，得唔得 ？They are all carpels. So you can see that they have multiple carpels. OK， 佢有幾個嘅 carpel 啦。 Okay, so this is another very key part I need you to remember. Okay, this is also for dictation. You will know that this is very important later. Usually, when we talk about fruits, we will say, how will these structures become after fertilization? Okay, so please mark this question down. 通常呢, we will ask you something like this. So, what will happen to these structures after fertilization? 喺佢哋 fertilize 咗之後會發生咩事？得唔得？ Okay, we will talk more about that. 好啦，咁然後咯喎 So what exactly is ovule? Okay, ovule 係咩嚟嘅咧？好啦，So try to look at this diagram. So stigma and style, very easy. Okay, so we won't talk about that. And the remaining part, 剩翻低嘅部分 remaining part, we call it the ovary. 成個都係 ovary 嚟嘅。Okay, but 發生一樣嘢啦。Except the ovary wall. 除咗最外層 this one, except the ovary wall. Okay, the remaining part 剩翻低嘅我哋就會叫做 ovule。但係 remember one thing 喎。Okay, ovule is not the gamete. 佢唔係個 gamete 住嘅，真正個 gamete 係叫做 ova。得唔得？冇撈亂 ，do not mix them up. Okay, so this whole thing except the ovary wall is called the ovule 先，得唔得 ？Okay, so ovule 其實佢只不過係 contain 即係代表包括咗。Okay, but it is 聽實啦 ，it is not the same as ova， 得唔得？好啦，唔相同嘅。So it contains the male gamete 就當然係叫 ovum 啦，或者叫 ova 啦。OK, plural 嘅話 ，and then you can see that 你就望到啦，一粒嘅 ovum 其實或者一粒嘅 ovule 啦，其實係 connected to the ovary wall 嘅。點樣會 connected 啊？點樣黐住咗佢啊 ？attach 佢啊？有一個 stalk，呢個 stalk 我哋叫做 funicle， 讀一讀啦 ，funicle。你望到呢粒棍啦 ，funicle。And then it is surrounded， 佢係保護咗啦 ，is protected by several layers。有幾層嘅 protective layers 啦，我哋會叫做讀一讀咯 ，integuments。Okay, and then you'll see there is a small hole here， 有一個好細嘅窿啦。So when we talk about something that is small， 當我哋講啲嘢好細嗰陣時 ，we will say that there's micro，right？ 咁我哋一個窿啦 ，this hole we call it a micropyle。讀一讀咯 ，micropyle。Okay, so several new words again. Okay, from the top, 成嚿嘢 the whole thing, we call this the carpel. Alright, from the top, 我哋會有個 stigma 啦，係 receive pollen grain 嘅，會有個 style 啦，係純 support 嘅啫。And then we have the ovary. Okay, but then ovary 當然啦，佢會有個 ovary wall 嘅，會有個外層啦。And then except the ovary wall, 除咗個 wall 之外 the remaining part, 剩翻低嘅部分 is called the ovule. And then you'll see that there are 4 structures. Of course, the gamete 就會叫做 ovum 啦。And then some protective layer 圍住咗佢嘅 surrounding the ovum， 我哋就會叫做 integument。Okay， 然後啦 this integument is connected，attached to 呢一個嘅 ovary wall 啦，就會 through 點樣 attach 㗎 ？attached by this funicle。And then there is this small hole here。其實 for 啲咩用嘅咧 ？This small hole is for fertilization. Okay, you can write it down if you want. This small hole, micropyle, is for fertilization. Okay, and this small hole is called the micropyle. 就係咁啦。Okay, so this one you can also write down. I'll talk about that in class. I will give you 3 fused carpels. Sometimes you can see that the carpel is fused together. 佢哋可能黐埋咗一齊嘅。So as you can see, this one is 1 carpel, 2 carpel, and 3 carpels. 得唔得 ？Okay, and in each carpel, 每一個 carpel 入邊啦 you will see the ovary in the center. 你會望到 ovary 啦。Alright. 好 if there's no question, I don't want to overrun too much, so I'll finish this page, and that's all for this section. 得唔得 ？Okay, so the next part we're going to talk about the stamen. 讀到啦 stamen. So first of all, stamen is the male part. Okay, but this part also pay attention. Okay, 都緊要嘅。So usually 佢係 surrounding 啦 ，not in the center 嘅。Usually 佢係 surrounding 呢個 carpel 嘅。Okay, remember the diagram. of this one, right? Then you can see, so carpel is in the center and stamen is surrounding the carpel，得唔得 ？Okay, and then there are two parts，有兩個部分啦。There is a long filament to support 一個 anther 啦，亦都係啦，頭先講過啦。Support the anther. So what exactly is a anther? Anther 係咩嚟嘅咧？ So anther, okay. So first of all, it has 2 to 4 pollen sacs. Pollen sacs 嗰度啦。sac 係咩嚟嘅？係一個囊嚟嘅。Okay， 好似一個食藥丸嘅膠囊啦，or just like a bag. Okay, so they have 2 to 4 pollen bags. But of course, we use this word sacs. Okay, so you can see this is 1 bag, 2 bag. Okay, so this thing has 4 pollen sacs. 好啦 and then where are the pollen grains? So in this pollen sacs, 喺呢個 pollen sac 入邊咧 you can find pollen grains. Okay, you can find them in the pollen sacs. 好啦 and then still, 但係留意一樣嘢喎 are the pollen grains the male gametes? Pollen grain 係咪個 male gametes 啊 The answer is no. No. Pollen grain 都只不過係 they carry the male gametes. Just like the ovule. Ovule is not the female gamete. Ovule inside you can find ova. 嗰個先係 female gametes. Pollen grain also not male gametes. 佢係 inside you can find the male gametes. 得唔得？佢係一個 carrier 嚟嘅啫。幫我寫細啲啦。Okay? So ovule. Okay, sorry. Ovule or this pollen grain. Both of them are only carrier. Carrier 即係一個載體啊 alright? So they are only carrying somebody, alright? So the carrier of female and male gametes, respectively. Okay? So, okay, so of course, when we talk about the gamete, they are produced by meiosis. Okay? 好啦，咁然後就再講啦喎。So this is a statement, alright? This whole thing is a statement, and then here at the bottom you can find the filaments, and above you can find the anther. So after you cut the top part of the anther away, you cut it off, and then you find some pollen sac 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just like here. And inside the pollen sac you can find the pollen grains. You can see a lot of dots here. 有好多點點啦，係咪啊 All these dots 都係一啲 pollen grains 啦。好啦 and then the pollen grain are the carrier. 得唔得？佢係一個 carrier 嚟嘅 of the male gametes. Alright. 好啦 so just for you to know, so you can find the vascular tissue here. So by vascular tissue it means the xylem and phloem. Alright, xylem and phloem. Okay. 好啦，咁然後嘞also the filament is not yet gone. 佢唔係唔見咗嘅。So if you want to support the stamen, it will be keeping at the center. This center part is the filament. Alright? 好啦 so the last part, 好啦，最尾嘞喎。So when the anther become mature, 當佢成熟嗰陣時啦 mature 啦 they will split, 佢會分開咗啦。So they will split to release, 去爆開咗，然後啦就會去釋放 release 呢啲嘅 pollen grains inside 嘅。Of course, the pollen grains will be carried by the insects or by wind. 得唔得？可能由風去帶走啦，可能由 insects 去帶走啦。And then it will be carried to the other flowers. 得唔得？佢就會俾人帶咗去其他嘅 flower 嗰度啦。Okay, so just for you to know, just look at this diagram. So when it becomes mature, it will split. Okay, you can see splitting. 好啦，當佢 split 嗰陣時，就會 release 呢啲嘅pollen grain 啦 and they will go out to the other flowers 或者 to the same flower 啦，得唔得 ？Okay, so this last part 其實 the same as what I've taught earlier. 啱先講咗噶啦，就係 pollen grains are they the male gametes? They are not the male gametes. They are only the carrier of male gametes 同一時間啦 ovules they are not the female gametes. They only contain 呢一個嘅 female gametes 嘅啫，得唔得？佢包含住啦。Okay, so that's all for this section. So this section is a little bit tough because there are a lot of new words. Okay, so if you have any question, feel free to ask me, and I'll see you in the next section. All right. So that's all, and goodbye.